Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang. This is Elsie Hines. My pronouns are he, him.
I'm Courtney. My pronouns are they, them.
And we're here with Courtney. Sorry, my pronouns are he, they. Right, update.
Oh.
Gotta update the people. Right now it is 5:55 p.m. Night Movie Gang.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you just tuning in, this is your first episode. This is episode 52 or 53. So hopefully you've been listening to this point. For those of you, if this is your first episode, this is a show where we talk about kind of cult and genre cinema. It's like horror, sci-fi. It's kind of the main focus, but kind of whatever we want. We're not talking about Marvel here. This isn't a Marvel superhero podcast.
Nope.
But yeah, today it's Halloween times. We're in the middle of October. Halloween's coming up soon, and recently we were hanging out with some friends and rewatched Hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie, and then Courtney and I have kind of been holding off on watching Ari Asters' newest film that came out last year, Beau was Afraid. Because
I was afraid of the runtime.
Afraid of the runtime, because that movie is 3 hours, in fact. I think it's like 2 hours and 58 minutes or something.
Horrible.
Exactly like that. But we watched it, and
over a couple of days.
Yeah, over a few days, like 2 or 3 days in multiple parts. And I know I got a few things to say about it. I kind of want to bounce off here. Now that I haven't reviewed it on Letterboxd yet.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I still just don't know mostly what to think about it. But yeah, today, before we get into Beau's Afraid, I figure we should talk about Hereditary first, and maybe like some of how we know how we've watched the films of this filmmaker. So basically, yeah, I want to ask you, when's the first time you saw Hereditary, Midsummer? What's your history with this filmmaker? How do these movies make you feel a little bit in general? Just like yeah, tell us about it.
So the first Ari Aster movie I saw was Midsummer.
Oh, okay.
What?
I didn't know you saw Midsummer first.
I did see Midsummer first. I saw Hereditary for the first time with you, but I saw Midsummer in March of 2020.
Oh, I remember this story.
I was in undergrad still, and I watched the movie during spring break of 2020 with a couple of my friends, and we had just learned that the school was going to shut down for a while, and a lot of stuff that we were staying at school for, a lot of our program stuff was about to get shut down, so we were all in a piss poor mood, and we thought that it would be fun to watch a horror movie and be drunk for it.
Yeah.
So we got wine drunk and watched Midsummer, but we were in such shit moods that, like, I hated that movie the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it's not like a fun throw it on, get fucked up, hang out with your friends kind of.
It's really not. Like, I don't know why we thought that would be the vibe. I just think that we were stressed, and someone mentioned Midsummer, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen that movie, and then we were like, oh, we gotta watch it. So
I'd say of his 3 films, Hereditary is the most like traditional horror movie.
Yeah.
Of them.
Yeah, Midsummer was definitely not like a movie to watch when you're like feeling like shit.
Yeah.
At the start of the COVID shutdown. But so that was the first time I watched it, and then the first time I watched Hereditary was with you. I really liked Hereditary. When I watched Midsummer for the first time, I thought that it was unnecessarily violent. Like the head smashing scene in Midsummer really freaked me out. I really hated it. And I just thought that the violence was like too gratuitous in that movie. But when I watched Hereditary with you, I had a little bit more of a developed movie taste, I think, at that point. And we had seen a lot of really fun and really scary horror movies up to that point. So when we watched Hereditary, I was like, oh, this shit's great.
I'm ready.
Like, this shit's fun.
Injected into my veins. Yeah.
Yeah, because now at this point, like, I'm a huge horror fan, and I'm a huge A24 horror fan.
Yeah, especially. And
all of my favorite horror movies, almost all of my favorite horror movies are A24. The only exception, I think, is Nope.
Yeah, Nope is, I think Nope is just Universal.
Yeah.
For the Peels kind of thing, or Monkey Paw, whatever his studio is.
But I really liked Hereditary. I really liked how Ari Aster has unique ways to kill people
Yeah.
in his movies. Which when I watched Midsummer the first time I didn't super appreciate, but then on the second rewatch of Midsummer I was like, oh, that's kind of like crazy. I think he's really unique for his like, I don't know, like there's only so many ways to die in a horror movie, so then Ari Aster was like, let me cook for a minute and come up with some new ones.
Exactly. In Hereditary, when Charlie's like choking on the peanuts, I'm like, oh, she's gonna asphyxiate in the car.
It's the walnuts, but yeah.
Yeah, the walnuts. I was like, oh, she's
just gonna asphyxiate and die from an allergic reaction.
She's gonna
but
choke nothing else. No, she gets her head. I remember. So when I saw Hereditary in the theaters. Came out 2019 or 2018. I remember that being a complete shock to me.
Yeah.
How not just how she died, but that character, because the ads for that movie were kind of selling it as like this is a possessed little girl.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of movie.
Yeah.
It's like The Ring or something, or like some kind of
or like Exorcism.
Yeah, The Exorcist or whatever.
Yeah.
And that Charlie was going to be kind of the main focus of the whole movie. So like I was just kind of shocked that she died in general the first time I saw it, because I thought we were going to have a whole lot more to go through with this character. Between that, Ari Aster seems just really possessed with like people's heads get cut off and smashed in all of his movies.
Yeah, all of his movies have some kind of like decapitation situation.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
All of them.
I feel like he just really likes decapitation.
100%. I also feel like looking at I've been reading a couple of articles and watching a few videos about Beau is Afraid, and another thing that I think he seems fascinated in exploring is like the death of family members.
Yeah.
Like all of his movies, the central characters are dealing with like some kind of death of an intimate family member. In Midsummer, Florence Pugh, I forget the character's name, but like
it's her mom, dad, and sibling.
Her sister
kills everybody.
Killed herself and her parents. And Florence Pugh's dealing with the result of that.
Which again, in a really unique way, with the exhaust like pipes all the way through the house.
Yeah,
that shit's kind of crazy.
No, like a whole elaborate setup too. We don't even see it. Just even the concept of it is messed up. And it definitely makes me think that he probably, I didn't look into his like personal life, but I'm sure that like at some point in his childhood he had a close family member die, and he probably spent a lot of time. That was kind of like probably the focus of a lot of his kind of early work. But yeah, no, that's something that's another. What else is kind of explored? I feel like in a lot of the movies, just the idea of like even when people die, even when family members die, there are still things that like about their lives and how they've affected you that like cling to you. I feel is something that he also focuses on a lot. Like in Hereditary, the title of it even being this demon and the cult is kind of passed down, but also there's a conversation in there too about like mental illness and how and that's passed down. Yeah, and how mental illness is hereditary in a lot of cases, just like anything else. 80% of our health stats come from our parents, like if in our genes. So like if your family has a history of schizophrenia, you have a good chance of having that too. And like I feel like his movies explore a lot of relational things between like mother and child. Like in Hereditary, it's all about I don't remember anyone's names in these movies, but it's all about the dead grandma who I forget,
and she has a bad relationship with her daughter, who is the mother in Hereditary. And then the mom in Hereditary has like a strained relationship with her son as well. Yeah, Annie, the mom.
Yeah. Annie the mom and her punk ass son Alex Wolff.
Yeah. But she has a difficult relationship with her mom, and then Toni Collette's character has a difficult relationship with her son. And then in Beau is Afraid, like the whole journey is the whole journey that Beau goes on is like fueled by this like resentment towards his mother and all of the bad things that happened in his childhood because of his mother,
and the guilt that he feels,
and the guilt about it.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's all based around that. For people who don't know, we didn't rewatch Midsummer for this episode.
No, we didn't.
I'm sure, just thinking about it now, like the themes of motherhood are definitely present in there, but I feel like it's more in terms of like what's it called in terms of like in the commune cult situation.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more themes of like rebirth and like serving your purpose and like, you know, the life cycle. I'm sure it goes more deep in that movie, but once again, we'll probably revisit it soon and have conversations about it. But
I think it's interesting how all three of his main characters are like really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I would say Hereditary has a couple of main characters. I'd consider Toni Collette's character a main character, and I also consider Alex Wolff's character a main character.
Yeah.
With the husband kind of being not really that important.
The husband just being a jerk.
Just being a fucking dick the whole movie.
Just being a shit partner, really.
Right. But I feel like the main characters he chooses, like Florence Pugh's character in Midsommar and Beau in Beau is Afraid, are all just like fucked up people. Like really fucked up, like personally fucked up people who have a lot going on and then are just thrown into a new situation to have even more stuff going on.
Yeah, thrown into... Yeah, all of them are individually dealing with their own shit, but then just like... the shit outside themselves are what's like, it's like, do we even have to deal with this now? I'm already dealing with my own problems.
Right, like all of those characters, we are dropped into all three of those stories with those characters already having like developed issues.
But anywho, since we're talking about Hereditary, let's go into kind of more of the specific plot. So Wikipedia doesn't say, but the movie opens up with dollhouses. Remember, I'm pretty sure, it opens up with like a long shot zooming into Alex Wolff's room, and I think his mom comes in to like get him up for school or something, I think is how it opens. But we get introduced to the family, and right away we're introduced to their really cool house, and we get introduced to the miniatures, and we see like a couple of the little miniature sets that Annie's working on, because Annie is like a miniature like artist, and that's her job. And throughout the movie, she's working on like this big piece for this gallery. And what did you think about just the miniatures and the way they used them throughout the movie and stuff?
I thought it was really cool. It's such an interesting job to have, so I like that it's like just such a unique thing about her, and like we see throughout the movie as things start to deteriorate in her life, it's reflecting through her art, and the fact that she's abandoning like her project that she needs to do for the gallery in favor of doing like the personal project that basically it's like representing how her mom affected her life and how her mom has affected her parenting and the way she is with her own kids. And as she's grieving for basically a mom she didn't really have, like there's a sense in this movie that she is mourning a mom she never had. Like, I mean, I have an estranged parent relationship as well, and like something that you deal with is the fact that you really want to have a relationship with them, but you know that you can't in the normal way that you really want to.
Yeah.
And so you mourn not only the relationship you have, as strained as it is, but you also mourn the relationship you wish you had.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's represented in a lot of her like miniature work. She never says that, but I like how it's portrayed throughout the movie through her work.
I think they say at a certain point in the movie that like her and her mom were estranged for a lot of her adult life, and then I'm pretty sure she has a conversation with
she ends up staying with them for hospice.
Yeah, for like the end of her life. Like, and that's really the only time she got to know her. And even then, like she didn't even really, it wasn't really her mother, because she was like losing her mind,
right,
crazy
was
stuff.
super sick.
So there's definitely that in there where she just didn't even know this woman.
Mm-hmm. And just doing that, like taking a family member that you have not had a relationship with into your home and taking care of them is like such a undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's exhausting in more than just the way of, oh, I'm like losing a parent. It's like it's exhausting in so many ways because they just weren't ever there for you, and now you're expected to be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I wonder if Ari Aster has a weird relationship with his mom, honestly.
Maybe.
Because the way he writes like familial relationships, it seems like he has personal experience, like it seems like he gets, I feel like something consistent in his movies is that he portrays really well is how difficult it can be to like have a close family member be difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just feel like I just feel like he must have personal experience with it.
Yeah.
Wait, can you go up?
Just looking through his Wikipedia real quick. We're folks at home. We're looking at Ari Asters' Wikipedia page.
Go down a little.
Trying to see if there's any hint. I don't think it's gonna say like his mom beat him or something. I don't think it's necessarily. His mom was a poet and his dad was a jazz musician, so they were both.
That's kind of sick.
In the arts. Yeah.
Those are sick professions.
Those are pretty sick. Yeah, he was from New York City. Yeah, the first movie he saw was Dick Tracy at 4 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, that's interesting. So apparently, like, when he was 4 years old, the scene with the Tommy gun scared him, and he ran 6 New York City blocks while his mother was trying to catch him.
That's funny. I'm sure that's highly exaggerated, but...
Yeah. But maybe that... I feel like that kind of hints towards, like, maybe having a interesting relationship with his mother. But, yeah, no, I mean, I've watched enough interviews with Ari to kind of know, but I'm sure that that's in there as well.
It just seems like he's got personal experience because he writes it really well.
Has to be, 100%. We also get introduced to Charlie, who's the daughter, who's Annie's 13-year-old daughter. And Charlie, how do I put it? She's very distant, not good with people.
Yeah, she seems like she may have some developmental delays. Like we see at the funeral, the dad has to check in with her about what she's eating, being like, those don't have walnuts, right? Which, like, at 13, you'd expect that a kid would be able to figure that out on their own enough, like, developmentally, to, like, be able to assess a situation like that for themselves when they have a life-threatening allergy. So it just seems like the Charlie just has some developmental disability going on or something, and we never get anything explained about it. But we do learn that her grandma was really close with her.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess technically, as far as in the universe of the movie, we do get she's possessed by a demon. Like, this at this point in the movie, like, this character is the demon Paimon, which I guess spoilers for the end. But we've been talking about spoilers all through this thing. But as far as like the real world allegory, I feel like that's kind of like what they're hinting at. She doesn't look at anybody in the eyes. She has this like vocal tick that comes in back in later at the end of the movie. But yeah, no, she's quote unquote. I think I was saying to you the other day that this movie gave me like big Stephen King vibes.
Yeah.
And I think a part of it too is like I feel like in a lot of those like Stephen King's like stories, when I think about like the 80s and 90s, there's like a creepy kid.
Yeah, you gotta have a creepy kid
who's out there doing things, who's got the shine or whatever. She also like picks up like there's a part where she finds like a dead bird.
And she cuts its head off, which is like a ritual thing. Yeah, and like makes a toy of it. Yeah. Like later, it's a whole situation. But yeah, we kind of see the family go about their lives, and we also follow Alex Wolff's character. What am I forgetting? Peter. And he's kind of like he's 16. He's a stoner. He's like, he's skipping class to go smoke under the bleachers with his dumb boy friends. And the instigating event is that he gets invited to a party, where he's trying to convince his mom to let him go to it, and she's like, "Well, you got to bring Charlie too." Right. And he lies about what it is, but she knows he's lying. Yeah, she knows he's like he says it's like a school barbecue or something. It's like what he's trying to say. Yeah, no, and in a lot of these scenes, we already get some of the kind of like resentment factor. Yeah. Like cutting there too. We see Annie go to like a group. It's like what's it called? Support group. Like a support group for people who've lost loved ones. And I don't know why I didn't like realize like how crazy the scene is, but the scene where she is kind of describing the relationship she had with her mother. Yeah. And like all the crazy things that like her mom has put her through, and the rest of the support group's like, right. I don't know if I got anything to share. Right. And we can start talking right here. Toni Collette, who plays Annie, is so freaking good in this movie. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's incredible. Are you trying to back that up? Yeah. Other way. Yeah. Microphone. People's, and then you can tighten it back up. Other way. Yep. Lefty loosey, ready, Teddy. Shut up.
Cool. Yeah, Toni Collette's great. And throughout this movie, she kind of has to play, like she plays it a lot of ways. Because in the beginning of this movie, she's kind of grieving her mother, but she's more kind of, I feel like the beginning of this movie, she's in this space where like she wishes that she could feel like, she wishes that she could properly mourn her mother, but it seems like she just like, because she didn't have, she's feeling bad that she doesn't want to grieve about her mom, basically. And then the middle of this movie, she's mostly playing like a grieving parent because I guess we can talk a little bit about it. So Charlie at this party starts eating like a cake. There's a cake that's being sent around, and it's got walnuts in it. And what I about to call him Spencer. He's Spencer in the Jumanji movies. Peter leaves her alone in the kitchen because he thinks that he's about to go smoke weed alone with this girl that he likes, and then he pulls up and it's like, hey, he's got weed.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of people waiting. She eats the nuts. She starts having an allergic reaction. Her throat starts closing up. And probably the biggest like shocking, the scene that like kickstarts really the movie.
Yeah.
Is when she's, he's driving down the road real fast. And Charlie's kind of choking in the back of the car. She sticks her head out the window. There's an oncoming car that Peter almost hits.
It's a dead deer in the road.
It's a dead deer. For some reason, I thought it was an oncoming car. And she hits her head against a telephone pole, and her head gets like...
She's decapitated.
She's decapitated, blown off. And then the reveal of kind of like how it goes, like you see... Like, props on Alex Wolff. Like, he just kind of sits there for a minute, like not knowing what to do. And he just drives home.
And goes to bed and doesn't sleep.
Goes to bed, doesn't sleep.
And then his mom, this scene I find really interesting. The scene where the camera is focused on Peter's face and he's just laying in bed, like looking traumatized. And all you just hear the audio of Toni Collette's character walking down, opening the car door, and she screams. And and that's like her discovering the rest of Charlie's body. And I think that was a really interesting way to reveal it, because like we didn't have to see Charlie's body, we saw the worst thing. And like it's scarier to just like be focused in on Peter's face and just like hearing because you know what's gonna happen when she opens the car door.
No, in a lesser movie it would just kind of show it and reveal, but I feel like this is one of those scenes where the magic of your mind is going to create something like way scarier than what is actually there,
Right.
And I feel like that's a good amount. There are a lot of good things like that where like, I feel like Ari Aster utilizes darkness really well in the movie. Like there's a lot of like just creepy shots where like a character is looking in a dark corner and you can kind of make out like someone there. Like early on, Annie sees her mother. And then the best shot in the whole fucking movie towards the end, mention that when she's up in the corner of the bedroom.
Yeah.
When I saw that in theaters, I didn't notice that at first.
It's so much scarier that way.
I know. I didn't because it's a long shot where it holds like Spencer's like sleeping in bed. It's nighttime. Peter. Why do I keep calling him Spencer?
I don't know.
Jumanji. And when I saw it in theaters, my buddy like tapped me. He's like, look at the corner, and I literally said shit in the theater. Just real creepy stuff. But really creative. I also think a part of that might be I don't know, maybe they budgetary concerns, because the movie, for what it is, has like a pretty low budget, and like that's another practical effect they wouldn't have to do. But in the middle of this movie, Toni Collette is a grieving mother, and she fully show, like there's a scene where it's just her screaming, and like the husband Steve is like trying to console her, but she's just like screaming and in pain and wanting to die, and like she really sells it. So and then Annie tries to go back to Joan, that's her name, tries to go back to the support group where she meets Joan, who remembered her,
who is up to no fucking good.
Joan, who I didn't trust from the jump.
No, me neither. I saw Joan and I was like, Even
the first time I saw this, I was like, nah,
no.
Like I don't trust Joan at all. Joan makes a bond with Annie when she tells her about her son and grandson who died tragically. I think they drowned.
They drowned.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah, which is what she tells her. And there's something that comes back to that later. But in the middle of this movie, I feel like a lot of it is just there's a lot of tension between Annie and Peter, because Peter feels guilty about being the reason why his sister is dead, but he just won't admit it.
Right.
And like he basically wants his mom to forgive him and to like not just forget, to not even put the responsibility of feeling any kind of guilt for it on him. Like he wants to be given like scot-free off it, basically.
Well, he also, there's a sense that like she doesn't love him anymore.
Yeah.
Like truly she does not love him anymore, and he is just like a ghost in the house.
Yeah.
And like because he is a 16-year-old boy and doesn't have fully formed emotions, and also is in a very dysfunctional family that doesn't deal with things like this by, I don't know, taking your family to family therapy, he just doesn't know how to handle it, and is also just like a total dick back to his mom who is grieving. And they're just both assholes to each other. Yeah. As the husband is also not being supportive of either one of them.
Yeah. The husband's just being a dick and wants everyone to like.
He just wants everyone to act normal, which how's that gonna happen?
Just stop feeling feelings.
Right.
There's a great dinner scene where Toni Collette and Alex Wolff go at, or it's more just Toni Collette has this great speech, and Alex Wolff just kind of comes in being like, "Yeah, but what about you, Mom? Yeah, you told me to take her to the party," which is such a teenage. And then there's the moment where she sleepwalks. To his room, and we also kind of get the reveal more on that she
like sleptwalked, almost murdered her family.
Covered I think
covered the kids in paint thinner and herself, and then had a matchbox in her hand. Yeah, when she woke up. Yeah, and she couldn't convince Peter was old enough to remember, but Charlie wasn't, and so Peter literally remembers this. So you get the sense that there's always been this horrible tension between them. It's not just him being a teenager and then the tragedy of Charlie. Like, this family's been dysfunctional for forever. Yeah.
She also admits that she never wanted kids in the first place.
Which is crazy.
Like she's like, my mom forced me pretty much. And she also said that like she tried to have a miscarriage. Like she's like, I smoke, I drank, I like did everything that you're not supposed to do.
She told Peter that, like
to his face,
that she did not want him.
Yeah, no, and it's a really intense scene. Just a lot of intense emotions going on with like a lot of just really great kind of horror imagery. But yeah, then the thing that kind of jumpstarts us next is Joan tells Annie that she saw a medium, went to a medium to talk to her deceased son and grandson. Annie, and then Joan brings Annie to her house to show her how it works. And so seemingly it works. Like seemingly there's a ghost in the room. Objects are moving. On a little chalkboard writes "I love you, Grandma," like from Jones, and it's real sus. The whole thing
is always sus, because whenever you pull out the fucking tarot, whenever you pull out the Ouija board, any of that shit in a movie, it's never who you're talking to.
Exactly. Like, how can I know? Like, is there
anyone can write "Love you, Grandma"?
Is there caller ID on this
right.
on this demon candle?
Can we get like a geolocation? Can we like triangulate the signal?
How's your tea? We haven't even talked about
it's good.
The teas we're drinking. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Dynasty brand, my favorite tea, Dynasty brand Chinese restaurant tea, in my little mug that I got at a farmer's market that has a cicada on it, because I love cicadas.
Very nice. I'm drinking Bigelow vanilla chai tea. Kind of tastes bad.
Oh.
I don't know why. I
thought
kind of tastes like dirty dishwater. It's got caffeine in it, which is the main reason.
Can I try it?
I'm drinking. Yeah, and I should have put sugar in. I'm drinking it in my daddy issues mug.
Maybe that's why you need it. Maybe that's why it doesn't taste good, because it doesn't have sugar.
Yeah, I got to start putting sugar in it. Sugar in tea. Courtney's face.
This is vanilla chai?
Yeah.
I think you would like it if it had sugar in it.
Yeah, I think...
And honestly, I think it might use like a little bit of cream or milk. Like, I think that would make it better.
To make it like a latte type deal. Yeah. Next time. We'll come back with a latte next time, folks. What's Blossom doing?
Just fucking around.
She just squounging. But yeah, no. So summoning demons, trying to talk to Charlie. So Annie convinces her family at home to try it. Steve and Peter. Steve is very resistant to it. The whole time he's just like, damn, this is stupid.
Yeah.
And there's a really creepy scene where briefly it seems for a moment that the spirit of Charlie is possessing Annie, possessing Toni Collette's body.
Which is creepy as fuck.
It's a really creepy scene, especially because it seemed like it seemed like in the moment that they dubbed in the actress who plays Charlie, I think Millie Shapiro, dubbed in her voice over Toni Collette's, and it's just really creepy. And she's like, "Mom, Dad, Peter, what's going on?" You know.
Yeah.
And it makes Peter cry, and I don't know why that this crying scene from X Wolf always makes me laugh. But he just like starts going and goes to his dad's shoulder. Like he's such a obviously like this character is like a grieving kid who's going through a lot. But he's just got such a goofy crying face. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I also think he's really good. I think Alex Wolff is of the Naked Brothers Band fame is
Naked Brothers Band.
I always think he's really good in whatever I see him in.
Yeah. Like
he's always good and stuff, but he's never had like a leading role type deal. Like I want to, or at least like something more. I don't know what he could do. Like I was hoping he was going to be in A Quiet Place day one more, but he only had like a small bit in that movie. He had an earring. But yeah, no. So after this scene, what happens next? Annie's kind of investigating more stuff about her mom. She sees that her mom and Joan knew each other and they were part of the same weird cult. The weird cult, same weird cult. Joan shows up at Peter's school and like from across the street exercises Peter's soul out of his body basically. And there's a really creepy scene and there's a nice little use of like light visual effects. I mean, like a lot of the kind of horror scenes stuff is practical, but there's like a really creepy effect of like this glowing blue light. Yeah. That follows some of the characters, and like while Peter is at school, there's a glowing blue light that's kind of coming over him, and he sees his reflection in the mirror, and his reflection smiling back at him all creepy. That shit. Starts banging his head against the table in the middle of the classroom, and it's a real disturbing scene. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he breaks his nose, he gets taken home, and then we kind of get like the final round of this movie where basically Annie has, I think it's Charlie's journal that she's trying to burn, but she can't do it herself because like when she tried to burn the journal earlier, it made her burn. And she tries to throw in the fire, she can't do it, and she gets Steve, her husband, to help. When he throws it in, he lights on fire. And then that blue light comes back and possesses Annie. We get the great shot of her in the corner, and she's being
so scary.
She's a possessed woman. And basically she's kind of like stalking Peter around the room. Peter's trying to figure out what's going on. He goes downstairs, finds his burned father's body. Also, there are naked people that are showing up around the whole place. There's a great shot, which we didn't even notice until this last time viewing. Our friend noticed it, like when there's a shot of the house during the day and they quickly switch to night. And when they switch to night, there's a bunch of naked people just standing around outside the house in the woods.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
And it's just real ominous. But yeah, so Peter gets chased into the attic by his mom. And there's a really creepy shot of her just like, it's one of those things that you would see in like an Exorcist movie where like, she's just banging her head repeatedly against the attic door.
It's so scary. That like scene
really fast.
In this movie, the two scenes that always stick with me are her in the corner of the room, and then when she's banging her head on the ceiling like that, because it's so fucking eerie.
Toni Collette in this movie walked so that Alyssa Sutherland in Evil Dead Rise, who plays the mom, could run. Yeah. Sorry, possessed mom is always a great horror opportunity, but she's really creepy. She floats in the air in the attic, and she cuts her head off with a piano wire. And it's a pretty crazy scene. Just a lot of crazy visuals happening at this point in the movie. There's more naked people. Peter gets scared and he falls out the window. That blue light comes back, possesses him, and then basically the end of this movie is it being revealed. Oh, and the way that Charlie's tick comes back, like it's like a vocal, like a thing, like like a tongue click.
Just a click.
I can't do it.
You're so bad at it.
I can't.
That's so funny.
There are things I can't do. It's like me trying to roll my eyes. I'm sure the people. This is the ASMR cast. But anyway, he does the vocal tick, which is like, oh, okay, so early in the movie, there's other details where like we learned about this demon, how the demon prefers a male body, so like it was pissed that it was inside Charlie, and now it's in Alex Wolff's body, it's in Peter's body. He does the same click, and it's revealed that he's, that's how this movie ends, like with his followers and this cult like bowing down to him,
doing weird shit in the treehouse.
The Hail Payman doing weird shit in the treehouse. Bodies are levitating in the treehouse, and that's how this movie kind of ends. Whether or no, and like every time I watch, I always enjoy Ari Asters movies more and more every time I watch them. I think, I notice more like every time. And would you say? At this point, this one definitely is my favorite of his movies.
Yeah.
And I think a part of it might just be the fact that, like, it balances his weird shit and, like, his weird themes well with the more traditional horror elements that we see.
I agree.
Would you say, how would you rank them thus far?
I would say Hereditary is my favorite, and then Midsummer, and then Beau is Afraid. I really didn't love Beau is Afraid. I really like Joaquin Phoenix. I think his performance was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really hard time with movies that are so not based in reality. And that was really my biggest problem with Beau is Afraid, is that like I just couldn't follow it enough.
Yeah.
For it to be like, for it to retain my attention. You know what I mean?
There isn't
like it was just dream sequence after dream sequence after dream sequence, which like wasn't conducive to me like caring about anything that was really happening. Mm-hmm. And I know that that's just like a me thing. Like I know that some people like movies like that, but it's just not my favorite vibe. Because the plot can be complicated, but I at least need to know that there is a plot happening and that we're doing something. Because there were multiple points when watching Beau is Afraid where I was like, oh yeah, we're like trying to get to a funeral. That's like the point of this.
Oh yeah, that's like the overarching thing. Yeah. No, and I wouldn't say it's just you. I think a movie I was thinking about a lot while we were watching this, which a movie I want to rewatch soon. I was thinking about, I saw the TV Glow a bit.
Yeah.
When we were watching this, because that movie also, like, we're from a main character's perspective who, like, we're seeing the world through their eyes, and it is not, it is through a filter of, like, their emotions, and it's through a filter of, like, their trauma.
Yeah.
As well, because I think ultimately, from what I was looking up about Beau is Afraid, a pretty common thing that people seem to agree upon in like almost every viewing of this movie, that people seem to have every perspective, is that we are seeing everything through Beau's fears and how Beau is seeing things, because he's the kind of guy where like he's so afraid, and his mother has instilled in him such fear of like everything in life that he automatically sees the worst case scenario of every situation that he's in. Like when he sees, like the dude who was like the scary tattoo man who was chasing him into, which we're not going to break down the plot of this movie necessarily. We're just going to maybe touch on like a few specific scenes. One particular penis scene we'll talk about a little, which that was the only thing I knew about this movie, was that there was like a giant penis monster. And that was crazy. Like
I understood the plot of this movie until he goes to stay with like Nathan Lane and like, and then we started to go off track for me.
Yeah,
but before that, I totally understood that we were like, that he may live on a not great part of town, but it wasn't the way he was seeing it. Like there weren't roaming criminals and people cleaning guns on the street. Like I understood what was happening, and the movie up to that point was a level of like muddy that I could like get with, because I was like, okay, I understand that like this is all an exaggeration. This apartment building is not this nasty. Like, these people are not actually out to get him. He just feels that way. Like, that part, I understood fairly quickly that he was very agoraphobic, and that was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But once we got to the point of him, like, actually trying to get to a funeral, then I was like, we kind of went off the rails, and some things were not... Most things that happened after that point were so not based in reality that it was hard to find what was really happening.
Yeah.
Because through that point, like, you could track, like, okay, he's going home. And, like, that's what's happening right now, you know? But after that, I feel like I just, like, had a hard time tracking what was actually happening versus what he thought was happening.
Yeah. There's, what's it called? My brain. Something that helped me kind of stick with the movie, because I get what you're saying as far as, like, and that definitely is something I saw as a weakness too. It's like, okay, like, where are we going with this? There was something that kept me kind of in it, was that Joaquin, you know, Beau's character, Beau felt as confused as I was.
Yeah, he did.
Like, he was always like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of situations where, like, he was very much reacting like how I feel. Like, one of the most uncomfortable scenes for me is the scene where he's like forced to smoke weed.
Yeah.
In the car by the two teens, and he's like, no, I don't want to, but okay.
Yeah.
Like, he's very nice to everyone he encounters. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, at a certain point, the point for me that's hard, it's probably a different point for you, but the point that everyone seems to majorly disagree on, as far as like where the movie kind of diverges, is and it might be later in the movie than you think, his sex scene with Elaine, when because I feel like a lot of what's built early on, like, you know, we're told, like, we have this flashback from Beau's mom where she says that, like, you know, if you come, you die, and that's another factor too. Like, there's a lot of weird, like, sexual stuff with, like, his mom, and like a lot of layers to that too. But like, he's never come because his mom told him that if he comes, if he nuts,
means he has massive balls throughout the whole movie, which is terrifying.
Exactly. We see them sometimes. If he comes, he dies, is what he's told. And he has a sex scene with Elaine, who there's also even theories like with Elaine. So Elaine is a character who he met when he was a little kid. At a cruise when he was a little kid, is what we're told. And it's kind of like this, like, one who got away romance. And when he does make
by romance, it means like 10-year-old crush.
Yeah, 10-year-old crush that, like, expanded too hard.
He just took her completely literally when she said, wait for him.
Yeah,
wait for her.
Exactly. And when they do have sex, like later in the movie, he's afraid that he's going to die. And he doesn't, but she ends up dying. Yeah. Which, there's a couple of theories for it. The one, we watched a video right after we watched the movie that guy's theory was that Beau actually did die in that scene, and everything from that point on is like him kind of hallucinating while he's dying. But a theory that I saw online that I thought was kind of interesting was, hear me out on this, is that Elaine is actually Beau's sister.
Ew.
Mona's daughter. And the things that contribute to that, the main one is that during the flashback where Beau is in the bathtub and, like, his mom puts his twin brother, which everyone also agrees it's not his twin brother, it's him. It's just him looking out at himself being locked away.
Right, because he's dissociating.
Yeah. Before that, we see Elaine sitting next to him in the bathtub, like, getting him ready in the bathtub, and then the camera pans over and it's his mom, and she's like, get away from him or whatever. The theory is that Elaine is Beau's sister who, like, had unhealthy attraction towards him, and that's why she got, like, in the movie when she's like, they're gonna send me away, Beau, they don't want us together, I love you, Beau. It's his mom is, like, basically sent Elaine away because she's like, you want to fuck your brother, and this, or you want to be with your
weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. And the reason why this kind of plays into it is because she talks about, oh, your father had the congenital effect with his heart, the heart murmur that was make you. That's why she died, because she because she came and had a heart attack.
Oh, because she's his sister, and so she also congenitally has a
Or she got it and Beau didn't.
Right.
Is the thing, is like the
theory.
theory.
Like she was born with the same thing their dad had, but he wasn't.
Yeah. So it's a theory that's out there.
I mean,
weird.
that kind of makes a lot more sense than like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It also makes sense why Mona, Beau's mom, was so violently resistant to having Elaine around, like, period. I mean, beyond the fact that, like, she's just a super, super, super possessed boy mom.
Right.
You know? But yeah, as far as kind of the end of this movie goes, yeah, I mean, were there particular scenes that you want to talk about? I don't know what the deal is with the penis monster.
I don't like the penis monster.
The penis monster was crazy.
I didn't like the penis monster. I will say the scene where Elaine and Beau have sex made me uncomfortable because at a certain point he was telling her to stop, and I was like, okay, so now we've reached, like, we have to add in some sexual assault. We got everything else in this movie. You know? So that was weird, and I hated it. But I don't know. I'm just confused by this movie, I think. And, like, it's just not... I don't think it was the movie for me.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's fair.
But yeah.
I think there were definitely some things that you could... Funnily enough, one of the most emotionally involved things in the movie is something I think they could have taken out. The animated sequence where he was imagining he had, like, 3 sons.
Yeah, what stuff. The fuck?
Well, it was... according to Wikipedia, it was him getting involved in the play and really absorbed in it, and he was imagining himself as the main character.
I hated the announcer lady.
Yeah.
You will have 3 sons. They will be separated from you.
They will grow up to be handsome boys.
I hated it.
Yeah, no, like, she'll get pregnant because you had sex.
There's... Sorry, I'm yawning. I hated her voice. It reminded me of... at school, we have to do these timed exams sometimes, and they're taken very, very seriously. And over the intercom, there's like a voice that will tell us when we're ready to start and stuff. And it plays the same one every time. And so it'll just be like, you may now begin your exam. And it reminded me of, like, when we were watching that scene, I was like, ugh, because her voice sounded like that. Just the her cadence and stuff. I was like, this is terrible, because it was just reminding me of my exams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that movie.
Yeah, no, it's one where I'll probably revisit it someday. Maybe honestly, Beau is it might be a movie where, like, I want to get the Blu-ray and then watch it with director commentary, where, like, I can have Ari Aster explain to me, like, what the fuck is going on. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot the last few days. There are definitely certain moments in it that stuck with me. Yeah, it's definitely not one I'm going to go back to for enjoyment.
No, yeah.
You know, it's not like, it's one where, like, Hereditary just is like a horror movie, has a lot of cool stuff in it. Midsummer is one I want to revisit, has, like, a lot of really cool visuals and cool themes I want to re-explore. But yeah,
it's like it's a cool movie.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest actual knock I have against Beau's Afraid is just it's too fucking long.
Oh, it's so long.
Movies don't... If you have a movie that's gonna more than 2 hours and 30 minutes, you need to have sauce.
Yeah.
Like, you need to...
I agree.
You need to have something that's keeping me around. Like, Killers of the Flower Moon. Saucy. For
also,
days.
like, I feel like we should be asking ourselves, and I'm using the, like, royal we.
Mm-hmm.
When we make movies, let's ask ourselves... Is there a way this story can be told better and shorter?
Yeah.
Because for a movie like Killers of the Flower Moon, like, so much happened.
Yeah.
Historically, where, like, having a movie that long makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also you have enough things happening in the movie to, like, keep you entertained. Because, like, I watched that movie with you and Joseph, and it had me. I wasn't expecting to watch the movie with you guys. I was just kind of there, but then I got sucked in.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot for me to get sucked into a long movie. Like, if you're going to be an extra long movie, you need to be extra good, in my mind. But that's also because I just have a short attention span.
I wouldn't say that's the case. I think, you know, movies can be paid. Although I do certainly love an hour and a half is really all you need. But yeah, no, you really have to justify your runtime in order to be that long enough has to happen. I think it's something like Oppenheimer. She haven't seen yet.
God.
Like
and I won't.
The middle hour and a half of Oppenheimer is the best part of the movie because it's more about like the Manhattan Project and just kind of like the making of the bomb and whatever.
I just don't care to watch men talk back and forth in a movie.
Yeah. Zero like imagery of any of the damage happening in Japan to Japanese people. Just not. It's just,
well, why would they care about that?
Exactly. Just all the white men.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Beau is Afraid. I'm probably gonna give it either a 2.5 or a 3 on Letterboxd. Probably 2.5. Yeah.
It might get a 2 or a 2.5 out of me.
Yeah. Prop. You can pick a prop from either movie. What would you want to have?
From either Hereditary or
Beau is Afraid. Yeah. The only one I can think of from Hereditary kind of be like a weird one. My favorite of her miniatures that she made was the one of the accident.
That's terrible.
I thought the detail on it was nice.
The detail was really good.
The little light and the little but like you couldn't put that somewhere and be like, please explain this.
If I could take a prop, I would take the treehouse. I've always wanted a treehouse.
It is a pretty dope treehouse.
It's a nice treehouse. They got a space heater in there.
So you'd be able to nap there all the time.
Oh, there's one thing I love. It's a nap.
100%. Yeah, cool. So you take the treehouse.
What would you take? I mean, it could be from Beau is Afraid too.
That's true. The only thing from Beau is Afraid I can think of. I liked a lot of the when the little like wooden house like things like in the wooden village.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cute visuals there. Actually, no, I know what I want. I want one of the season changing trees.
Oh yeah, from the play.
From the play scene. Those were cool as fuck.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, visually that was a great scene. Yeah, that's what I'm taking. A season tree. But yeah, no, this has been Midnight Movie Gang. Courtney, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
It's been so long. Excited to see the zombie out there. Yeah, this has been Midnight Movie Gang. Hope y'all are doing good. It's currently 6:49 p.m. Night Movie Gang. Yeah, check out Hereditary and Beau is Afraid. We'll be seeing you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
So, here we go. Please tell me where this is going. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How was it I got in here? 3 tickets to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent.